Well, 2 weeks in the darkness without seeing their families is likely to have taken a psychological toll on those boys and their coach. Joining me now to tell us more about that is clinical psychologist Dr. Roderick Orner. He joins me now live from the UK. Dr. Orner, rather. So far, we've heard reports that the boys inside that cave have been remarkably calm. You know, we've seen smiles from them coming out from inside that cave. But this is likely, 2 weeks inside there for young boys. What kind of psychological impact might that have on them?
Well, of course, this has been an extraordinary experience, and they've been sort of to the brink of death, and they're coming back, and hopefully they will be safe. But their kind of experience is nothing, I think, like that we have ever studied before, and therefore I think we should be a bit cautious about predicting what the effects are going to be. It's going to be significant, that's for sure. Exactly how they're going to be affected personally, physically, socially, psychologically within their families, we don't know that, but we will need to study that and to support the young boys, to support their football coach, support their families in particular, if necessary, and also I think some thought should be given to giving the opportunity for the divers to do some form of post-incident review.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get onto the divers and to the coach in a second, but I first of all just want to see with you whether you think that those boys are best under observation for a while, or whether they're best at the heart of their families with trips to psychologists and to the doctors every so often.
I think it would be rather sad if suddenly there was going to, we've had an influx of divers who come and done a very professional job. If we're now going to see a sort of an invasion of psychologists and psychiatrists who are going to help these families and young boys, that would be a tragedy. It would be what is really called for is an opportunity for calm routines to be reestablished. We hear of families being supported, communities being supported. That's what's important, and we should largely leave these young men or the young boys and the families to re-establish their routines as quickly as possible, but observing and monitoring from a discreet distance, and be respectful of of what it is, the transitions they have to go through. And I think it's really important to consider that, whatever the reactions are going to be, that these are not entirely pathological reactions. These are adaptive reactions to what has happened to young boys who have been under extreme stress. And we should just give time for these reactions to emerge and for the families to gather around, and we'll see how they develop. And then maybe at some later stage, for some, they may require some professional help.
And Dr. Orner, I want to very quickly ask you, just to go back to the coach that we talked about. He has received letters from the parents of the boys saying that they do not blame him. But what do you think he will be feeling? What sort of psychological trauma will he be going through, as well as what the boys are suffering?
Oh, I think his position is probably the most critical of all, assuming they all come out. And there are things that, as the person who is responsible, presumably for the group when they went into the cave, his position is going to be very, very precarious. And I think if there's anyone who is intended to be given special care and follow-up and careful monitoring, it would be him.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Orner, I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop you there, but thank you very, very much for talking us through the psychological trauma and the impact that might have on those boys and their football coach. We've seen women rights